Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel.
We're the Dawnties.
My name's Rochelle.
I'm your favorite Donna.
And today we're going to talk about the best books that we read in the month of June. So every month we like to talk about our top 3 favorite books that we read for the month, just because it'd be way too much to go into every single book that we read.
Because somebody reads I read a lot. I read a crap ton.
But also we didn't read as much as normal because we had family in town, so we didn't spend as much time reading during our off hours like we normally do. But I think we found some really great books that we want to talk about. So
yeah, I will go first.
Okay.
First one, I gave this one 5 stars, and it is The Passengers.
By John Mars.
This is a really good book. So basically, these people have AI cars.
Yes.
So the cars drive themselves.
Yes.
Completely, totally.
Yeah.
Drives itself. You
not
sit
far
in there,
into the future.
Yeah.
From our world.
You can sit there and you can play video games on the windscreen or whatever, anything.
Yeah.
You do not have to pay attention at all. So, and England has gone almost completely all driverless cars.
Yes.
This book talks about this group of hackers, I guess you'd call them.
Yeah. They
go in and how many people are there? 6?
There's 8.
8. They take 8 random people that are in these driverless cars. They hack into the cars that are supposed to not be able to hack into.
Yeah.
And then they start blasting it on all of social media while they're in control of these cars. And they're like, okay, this is this person, this is this person, this is what's secret in their past. Mm-hmm. And now you on social media, we want you to decide who we're going to make crash and die and burn.
And it says, who lives, who dies, you decide.
I love the concept. I thought it was really cool.
Yes.
But
scary.
Yeah.
Creepy.
And what added to it for me is the fact that I have a pretty long commute back and forth to work. It's about an hour one way.
Yeah.
And so I listen to audiobooks while I'm driving to and from work. Try driving while you're listening to this in the middle of rush hour traffic.
Yeah.
That just really added to the spooky and creepiness of that book. It was really good.
And this is the same author who wrote The One, which we both read last year and loved. I read this one late last year. I think I want to say fall, early winter last year. And I told everyone about this, and my mom refuses to read it because apparently this is one of her fears. I had no idea. But yeah, the summary is you're riding in your self-driving car when suddenly the doors lock, the route changes, and you have lost all control. Then a mystery voice tells you, you are going to die. So this really action-packed, really intense, suspenseful. It was so good and very, very creepy. And yeah, don't read it in the car.
Oh yeah, go ahead. It just adds to the creepiness. It was really cool.
So good.
Alright, what you got?
Okay, so I'm going to start with the best book that I read. One of my top 2 favorite books that I've probably read all year. And it's no surprise. It's The Wishing Game. So I gushed about this whenever we opened it up from Book of the Month. This is The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. This is a debut author. This is essentially Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, but make it an author and fans of his children's book series. So he disappeared for a while, he came back, and he's writing one last book in his children's series, and it's going to be worth millions of dollars, whatever. He puts out a contest and selects 4 people to come to his house and compete for the one and only copy of this very last book he's ever going to write. And you fall in love with our main character that we're following. So she is a teacher's aide.
Hey, I used to be one of them.
She falls in love with this little boy who lost his parents, and he really, really loves her, and he wants her to adopt him, and she wants to adopt him, but she is not financially stable, and she doesn't have the ability to get into a position where she can support him financially. according to this state, okay? So she's one of the people chosen to go on this contest, and the relationship between her and this boy is precious. You are going to be rooting for her. It's filled with fun riddles and games, and it's just so good. And I didn't realize how much I was enjoying and so invested in this story until the very last couple of seconds of the contest. My heart was pounding because it was very intense, and the seconds were counting down, and I had, whenever the chapter ended without really knowing, like, did they do it in time or not, my heart was pounding. You're gonna fall in love with these characters. The story is so refreshing, so unique, so different than a lot of what I normally read. I had a blast, and I absolutely adored this one. Next.
All right, my next one is actually one that we both read. We both gave it 5 stars, and you're probably not surprised. It's a Riley Sager.
Yes.
The only one left.
Yes.
Now, love Riley Sager.
It's a thriller.
Yeah, I've gone back and I've read all of Riley Sager's backlist
Same.
because I really, really enjoy
And
Riley
there's only,
Sager's work.
It's only like 6 of them. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a long backlist, but
Yeah.
they're really good.
And all but one of them have been at least 4 stars for me.
Same.
So
Same.
I really enjoy all of his work. So
This one?
yeah, this one is like think Lizzie Borden.
And, you know, what is it? Lizzie Borden had an axe, gave her father 50 whacks, something like that. Yeah,
She was like the very first recorded, like, murderer.
Well,
female
no,
mur-
they
female
never
murderer.
they never
Well,
proved it. She never went to jail.
That's true.
Well, she went to court, but
I just learned about Lizzie Borden late last year. I'd never heard of her before until you told me, and we watched the documentary.
I made her watch it,
Yeah.
y'all, because Lizzie Borden's cool.
Okay, that little jingle is very creepy, and this book, I don't know if it's inspired. I would imagine it was inspired
I would
by
think
Lizzie
so.
Borden. So
Yeah.
what is this one?
So in this one,
Can I sing this song?
go ahead.
Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope. She stabbed her father with a knife and took her mother's happy life.
There you go. So
Creepy.
it is creepy. It is creepy. And so when we come into the story, it's
It's in the 80s.
60 years later,
Yeah.
after everybody's been killed.
Lenora Hope's family is gone. She's the only one left.
So she's really old now, lives in this mansion where she killed her whole family all by herself. And so we're following like the nurse's aide that
Yeah.
comes in to take care of her
Yeah.
because she's in a wheelchair. She can't talk. She can't.
She's like paralyzed on like one side of her body.
Yeah.
She's very immobile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where we come in.
Mhm.
And then this Lenora Hope, the nurse's aide figures out a way to communicate
Yes.
with this old lady that's in a wheelchair
Yeah.
with a typewriter, and she basically henpecks like I do, but only with one hand.
Right.
She henpecks with one finger
And they
and
communicate.
communicates and ends up telling this new nurse lady the whole story. So it's very interesting how all of this plays out. It was good. I really
Yes.
liked it.
I devoured this. I'm actually going to be rereading it in July because every month one of my goals is to reread at least 2 of my favorite books. And this one I'm actually getting from Book of the Month, so we'll see that unboxed in a week or so. And I'm going to reread it whenever I physically get it in my hands because it was so good. It was so good.
Yeah.
And even halfway through, like I read it before she did, like a few days before she did. And she's telling me all these theories that she thinks, and I'm like, ooh, if you only knew.
Well, see, and that's where we're different, because when I read a thriller and I get all of these little tidbits and I'm thinking, ooh, it could go this way, or oh, it could go this way. That's part of the fun for me in reading a thriller. She just goes on for the ride and she doesn't try to figure it out.
Very rarely do I try to figure something out, but I'm just like, ooh, 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 oh my goodness.
But part of the fun for me is like, ooh, it could do this. Or, oh, wait, what if they did this? Or what if it was this one? So that's part of the enjoyment for me in reading the thrillers that I read.
But it's so hard. If I've already read the book and she's given me all these theories, it's so hard to not spoil something in that moment. I just let her go on her tangents and tell me what she's thinking. When all, like, for this one in particular, she got nothing right. At that point, I
didn't have anything right. But how many times have I done that and you've been going,
you
dang,
suck.
she figured it out.
You suck. But I also try not to show that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't spoil it for her. But yeah, we have fun with that.
Yeah.
Next one is a romance, and it is Rock Bottom Girl by Lucy Score. And I must say, every time I read a new, to me, Lucy Score book, it becomes my favorite Lucy Score book. Like, they are all so good. I think this is like my 5th or 6th book by this author. And by the way, they're huge. But this is on Kindle Unlimited, and it just got picked up by a traditional publisher. So this, is floating around all the bookstores right now. Even though I think this was written like in 2019, I want to say. So it's 2019. It's a few years old, but I loved this so much. So we're following Marley, okay?
Marley.
Not Marley and Me, don't cry. That's the only movie that made me cry.
Marley, and she is 38 years old. She has hit rock bottom. Her and her boyfriend broke up. She's never been married. She's kind of been floating around job to job. Like, every time there's layoffs at whatever company she's at, she's always in the first round of people to go. No matter what she does. So she ends up at 38 finding herself moving back in with her parents in her small hometown that she's trying to get away from all this time, the last 20 years after graduating. And she ends up taking a temporary teaching and coaching position at her old high school. And I'm just going to leave it there because it goes off from there. She runs into other people who work there when she was a high school student. People that she actually went to school with are now teaching or coaching there. And then some of the parents of the kids that she's teaching are kids that she went to school with and has a lot of history with. But she is hysterical. She's very sarcastic. She's very hard on herself, but the way that her inner monologue or her inner dialogue comes across is very funny and relatable. And I loved this so much. I devoured this, and I didn't want to because I wanted it to last because it was so much fun. There is fake dating in here, which is one of my all-time favorite romance tropes, so that was really fun. But this, if you asked me what my favorite Lucy Score book was, I could not tell you because I love them all so much.
So much.
The last one for me, you have not read yet.
Okay.
But it is a Lucinda Berry.
I've only read one from her.
And it's When She Returned. Ooh. I actually gave this one 5 stars.
It's a thriller?
Yeah, it's a thriller. So basically, this lady, she's married. She's kind of like a reporter. She's got a 5-year-old daughter. And she does a story on this organization.
Okay.
And it's kind of like a religion. So, think cult.
Oh, I love cult stories. Like,
yeah. So, she does a story on this organization.
Okay.
And then she disappears.
Oh.
She, goes to the grocery. I think it was actually a Target. She went to Target and was getting stuff, and she went in, got her list of items that she wanted to get, and she walks back out to her car. Her purse is sitting in her car, all the stuff that she had that she was going to buy, but she's gone. So,
okay.
Yeah. So, they can't find her. They look for her. The people at this organization that she did the story on, the cult,
yeah.
actually come and offer to help. They go out, help looking for her 11 years after she disappeared. So now the little girl is 16.
Yeah.
She comes back. Her husband's remarried. Her daughter is 16 years old. And she comes running out of the woods, runs into a gas station holding a baby, and tells the gas station attendant, "Hey, I'm so-and-so. I've been missing for 11 years. I need help. And that's where we start the story.
Oh my, okay, that might be a Lucinda Berry I could handle. I actually, thinking back, I don't think I've read any by her.
Because of That Perfect Child book. I don't do children very well.
But that sounds really good. And I did look it up on her phone. It was originally published in 2019, so it's a few years old.
Yeah.
But
I think it was on Kindle Unlimited and I saw it, so yeah.
I would be down to read that because I love myself a cult story. Like in real life, but also like I'm finding like in books, if they involve a cult, I'm all for it. So I don't know. Do I have a fascination with cults?
I don't know, but you need to just stay here. Don't be taking off nowhere.
The only time I leave the house is to go check the mail. Like, I'm good.
Alright, so the last book I want to talk about has basically taken over, like, every platform ever. And it's Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros.
It's about dragons.
Yes, this is an adult fantasy. This is a combination, like, I got the feelings of Harry Potter and the Hunger Games, especially the Hunger Games in this book. But we're following this character who comes, you know, in their world. You can basically become three things in their world. She has always thought she was going to be a scribe, but everyone else in her family were dragon riders. And at the last moment, her mom, who is very high up in their society and in this, I guess, a school, this world, decides that she is going to go train to be a dragon rider, not a scribe. So we follow her going to this training facility or this training school, and she learns how to become a dragon rider. But there is so much involved. There is so much death in here, but it's funny. And the dragons...
It's funny death. Not the death part isn't funny, but the other parts are funny.
The dragons have personalities, and there is one who is a grumpy old dragon, and I loved him so much.
Did he remind you of your dog? A little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
But there's so much to this world, and the magic isn't like crazy complicated. Like think Harry Potter. Like you start with him not knowing he's a wizard, and you learn about it as he's learning about it. So it's easy to kind of catch on. Very similar to this. I've never read Divergent, but I've seen the first two movies, I think. There was some Divergent vibes in here as well. And let me tell you, I devoured this, and I'm so sad I never got the first edition copy of this book. I've never seen it in stores. Never. And so I got it from my library, and as I'm reading it through my library, I returned it because I went and bought it on Kindle, and then I bought the audiobook as well. Because I know I'm going to reread this, especially the second book comes out in November. I'm going to want to reread it right before the second one comes out, which I do plan on purchasing a physical copy of, hopefully, if I get my hands on it. But the way this one ends is jaw-dropping. It is shocking. It's like, I want that second book right now. I need it right now. I absolutely love this. And I'm not a big fantasy reader. I've read a couple of fantasies. Whenever you think about like fantasy stuff, like I lean more towards dystopian, not magical. But this was definitely so much fun. I think you would enjoy it, especially with the dragons having personalities and able to communicate with their dragon riders. It's a whole lot of fun. There's a whole lot of adventure, a lot of really crazy things, and our protagonist is she's not the most gifted. I mean, she has a condition physically that, you know, kind of limits her chances of even surviving training to become a dragon rider, and everyone hates her because of who her mom is. So she's dealing with that and getting picked on, and she's definitely the underdog, but I'm telling you, this book was so worth all the hype. If you've seen this anywhere, if you've heard people talk about it, it is worth it. So here's a look at our top 3 favorite books that we read in the month of June. Leave a comment down below. Let us know if you've read any of these or what your favorite book that you read in the month of June was. There were so many that I wanted to pick. We read quite a few that were the same.
Yeah.
Which is really fun because then we can actually talk about it. And whenever you're reading Riley Sager, I was like, hurry up and finish it so we can talk. She didn't read it fast enough, in my opinion. I'm just saying, you know, work.
I have to work.
Is in the way. I know.
I actually work at my
Hey,
job.
I work at my job. I can just multitask. That's all. But that's gonna do it for us today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.
Bye.